Welcome to NeuroMovement Revolution with Anat, Baniel, where you will discover breakthrough possibilities for your life through the brain's power to change. We're so happy that you can join us in making the impossible possible.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Anat.
Good morning, Neil. Good morning, everyone. Neil and I just said it feels like it's been a really long time since we were here with you, and very happy to be here.
Absolutely. So we're here this morning for episode 25 of the NeuroMovement Revolution podcast. And the topic we chose for today is take care of yourself first. Parents are told this, yes, but how? So when taking care of our children, especially if a child has special needs, our focus turns fully on our child. Parents often need to be told of the importance of taking care of themselves in order to be able to provide for the care of their child. This is easier said than done. In this podcast, we will explore the why and the how of taking care of yourself.
Okay, wonderful. So, I keep hearing, first of all, we hear it in general, you have to take care of yourself, which I agree with. And when it comes to parents or to caretakers, this is becoming a big topic because of actually the aging population and the sandwich generation, those who are between their parents to children and caretakers to their parents. And the term caretaker burnout is a one that's becoming more and more, prevalent. Of course, we work with a lot of children and parents, and we see what is going on. So I thought I would like to bring it and speak about it, and then you guys will leave you, plenty of room to tell your experiences, to ask questions, which I think will be very important. So the first thing is about taking care of yourself while you're taking care of someone else. And I'm going to refer to right now, specifically for a moment, children with special needs, but it's true in general. You can expand it, or what's the word?
Generalize.
Yeah, no, there's one in mathematics. You can
extrapolate.
You can extrapolate from that to other situations. So when you have a child, and if the child is sick, or there's some kind of emergency situation or an acute situation, it might not be emergency, but it's pretty acute, and it can be recurring or somewhat ongoing. Really, the best way to take care of yourself, first of all, is to pay attention and take care of the child, because as a parent or as a caretaker and as somebody who cares for and loves the child, if the child is in obvious need, the thing that will make me and you, and I believe pretty much everyone, feel the best, take care of my need, is to take care of the child. This is the front, need. So it's because when people say take care of yourself, it's like, just leave the house, have a babysitter, go to the movies, take a massage, all of which are really, really great. But if the child is really in an acute situation, everything else just falls off the shelf. I mean, it's not appropriate. Within that, we will talk, how do you then continue to take care of yourself so you don't crash, which is then you can't take care of your child, you can't take care of anybody. But so again, the distinction is sometimes the best way within certain parameters, the best way to take care of yourself is to focus on the child and to focus on the well-being of the child. When we talk about more ongoing things, ongoing life, more normalized life. Okay, I think I'm going to change the order. When you do have an ongoing or recurring acute situation over a length of time, then there needs to be a intentional organization and bringing certain players into one's life that does allow you, the parent, you, the caretaker, even the therapist, that allows for the child to be safe and well taken care of, and for you, whatever your position is, to step outside of the stressful situation and take care of yourself. So that might look like hiring. If it's very extreme, it might look like hiring a nurse. Or when people don't have the means necessarily to do it, depends where you live, depends on the situation. There are services where you can get a certain amount of help come to the home, and or to the hospital, or to where you can actually go and eat, sleep, take a shower, perhaps be with another human being that can support you, that you can talk to, that you can. So in an ongoing, highly demanding situation, the idea is to create a structure that allows you, allows your spouse, allows the grandmother, allows the grandfather, allows everyone to take their turn in terms of self-care, regeneration, recovery, and sometimes even getting a bit of a perspective. So that's for that. And so then then it's true for everybody, the idea of taking care of yourself. So let's talk about why. So I think you have a small story, Neil, to tell that is like perfect for this. It wasn't planned.
It certainly was not planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had first-hand experience of this in the last week. I work very closely with Anat. I have done for a number of years, and I love it. And I actually find I find the work very rejuvenating to do. And we have had some incredible projects recently. We just got back, we told you, from Canada, introducing the work into a school system. And we've just launched a new training, and we're in the middle of a children's mastery and another training, and we have a thriving private practice, and we're speaking at conferences. And
I wrote a chapter without you.
You wrote a chapter without me, yes. Yes. So, there's just been a lot going on, and
actually 2 chapters.
Very good. Well done.
Yeah. 2 chapters, meaning chapter for books, like contributing to the book. Yeah.
And I realized that I had not had, basically any time off really this year. So unfortunately, I had a week coming up where I was not scheduled to give lessons in the private practice. So I decided I would have a staycation. And it was all going smoothly until the 3rd day of the staycation, when I was standing in the supermarket and developed really debilitating back pain, which is not something I'm used to. And the thing that I initially thought was that I had a kidney stone. It was that severe, which is apparently, from my medical training, I was told the kidney renal colic is the closest a man can experience to the pain of childbirth. I've spoken to women who've both given birth and had renal colic, and they say there is no comparison, but it's one of the severe pains a man can feel. And I have had a kidney stone, and this is what I thought it was. So it was pretty severe. But I realized over the course of the next 24 hours that, no, this was something musculoskeletal. I had no idea. But it meant, it was fortunate I was off last week, because I would not have been able to work. And, of course, from my staycation point of view, it was annoying. But it gave me both a sort of a chance to feel even more empathic towards the clients that I work with, because I got a real extra insight into what it is to live with pain. But it also gave me an opportunity to reflect, first of all, to use the work that I've been studying and working at practicing for the last 14 years to actually work through this. And, it comforted me to realize that both I know a lot and that the work works, because I've got back to full functioning and, more than full functioning. I discovered things about myself after doing this work for 14 years that I didn't know before, both physically and mentally and emotionally. So it's been an incredible experience, not one that I would have chosen, and maybe one that I could have avoided had I sort of actually stepped back and taken care of myself a little bit sooner. So we don't want to wait till the crisis develops.
Yeah, exactly. So the one reason to take care of ourselves is to stay functional. And when you're taking care of a child or there are other people who depend on you, then being able to function, first of all, you don't want to really crash, because then it's obvious. But even so, so there are different levels. One is crashing. The other level is just reduced level of function. You don't think as well. You don't function as well. Maybe you get irritated more quickly. You find yourself more in situations where you have to apologize later. So that's more like a chronic degradation of the whole system. If a leader, because if you're a parent, you are the leader, and when the leader degrades their functioning, the system pays a price. So and then there's of course the long-term things, long-term stress, the cortisol, the hormone, the insult on the nervous system, the insult on the digestion. Actually, the idea that a certain amount of stress is actually healthy, just like the stress that we have on the bones when we move, and we can amplify it by doing some weightlifting or things like that, is actually healthy. When you take the stress of weight completely from the bones, what happens to astronauts? They lose tons of calcification in their bones. So the stress, a certain amount of stress, is computed in our system as an element that facilitates our optimal health. So the idea that we can't handle health, or we shouldn't have stress, and we shouldn't have stress, is actually, in my mind, a big mistake.
Yes, it's not about avoiding stress.
It's not just avoiding, it's not just eliminating stress. Because some people think, oh my God, this is stress, it's bad for me. Yeah. No, being able to function well, getting alert, getting to action, being able to think sharply. But so the right kinds and amounts of stress is a good idea. And what I mean by right kinds of stress, being run over by a car is not a stress that, the body can heal, the bones can heal, but it's kind of like not the stress I'm talking about, or other kinds of trauma. That's not, but normal, reasonable stress, physical, mental, emotional, fine. You should celebrate it. However, a heightened amounts of stress, chronic or acute stress, ongoing acute stress, is very damaging on a metabolic level, on a neurological, the structure of the brain, and on our ability to function. And maybe our ability to also enjoy life for some extent. It's also a good idea. Okay, so the why is, I just said it in their books. There was a book, I think already 20 years ago or something. There was a big thing about stress and relaxation. So it's not actually a new thing at all, but it's renewed, and it's renewed with extra information, and so on. So then we come to the how. And I want to talk about it just like 5 or so more. Are you getting some?
Well, I'm going to say comment from Jessica. She said, looking forward to hearing some tips.
Great, Jessica. I love it. Anyway, so the how. The very, very first step of the how is learning to recognize when we are stressed. And just like in the work that we do with the movement, when I teach, let's say, workshops or trainings, and I say to people, go gently, move with move. Don't use too much force or more force than needed in order to move. Across the board, almost always, everyone is using more force because that's the habit, right? So we don't feel it like too much force. We have to, first of all, reduce enough the force to know the difference. Remember the perception of differences. The same thing with stress. So the one thing that you can do, so if, Jessica, if you're asking that, you're stressed. I mean, you've come to the level of quote unquote effort, right? The intensity of stress where you actually recognize as being so. And that's excellent. It's a first step. I wouldn't say it's 50% of by recognizing it, but it's absolutely without it, nothing much will happen. And the very, very first thing is in baby steps. So I'm going to give you silly examples. You can, give me specific examples from your life. I might be able to be a little bit more honed in, but give information so I and Neil have something to work with. But let's say you have to go shopping, right? Food. You have to go to the supermarket or to Whole Foods or to wherever you shop, and somebody, and let's say you're lucky. And let's say, first of all, you're not that lucky and you have to take your kid with you. And they're going to sit on the cart. You're going to have them seated. Let's say they're young enough to sit in the cart. And they're going to want everything. They're going to want to buy this and buy this and buy that. You can set it up and decide ahead of time that this time going to the supermarket is not time to educate and correct your child's behavior. You can just decide to give yourself a bubble of half an hour where you're not going to see that your kid is absolutely impossible and asking for too many things. But you can set it up by saying, you say, we're going to put 4 things in the cart and you're going to choose one, and that's how it's going to go. So and then you reduce the stress. You can even make it perhaps a little playful. And you say, is that thing you want or is that? Which one do you want? Because we're going to choose one. They point. You put it in the cart. And then you say, you can even do it smarter. He wants another thing. You take that. You take the thing in the cart. You say, do you want this or do you want that? You find a way to make it so you're not training your kid not to ask for a million things all the time. So that is just a little example of a way to do that. Another way is if you can have a neighbor, a nanny, babysitter, a nurse, a grandmother, and you might already be doing it. You get the shower. Let's say you have time to take a shower. I remember when my daughter was little, and so many parents have this experience, taking a 10-second shower kind of thing, because the kid is screaming and crying and wants you to get out of the shower. So that, and if the kid is your husband, your whatever, so you can have peace, literally physical peace. And we all conserve the environment, but you take a slightly longer shower, or you take a bath, or you go to the supermarket yourself and you make that a little vacation. These are little mini, anywhere between 5-10 minutes of just like, you don't have to carry or think or worry about anything. And you start training yourself to do that. Because what happens to us when we are stressed is becomes habituated. And then we bring a stress reaction to almost anything. To washing the dishes. Oh my God, I've got to cook. Oh my God, I've got to get some cucumbers for the salad. Oh my God, I've got to answer. I forgot to call this person. We actually train ourselves to be selective and in what we agree to be stressed by, and then how to bring a background degree of calm to the stressful situation. Anything in the meanwhile from people?
Yes. So first of all, a comment. My brother, who is a doctor, told me about ABM 2 months ago. His wife had a dissected aorta almost 4 years ago.
She had a what?
Dissected aorta.
Oh, aorta. Wow.
And she is seeing a practitioner in Chicago with remarkable results. She's walking now without walking sticks and has increased stamina. So thank you for that comment.
By the way, doing our work is a huge way to reduce stress.
So this this is a question from Ala. She said, would you suggest doing your ABM lessons as a rest or taking care of yourself practice for somebody physically tired, taking care of others in order to recharge? Or does one need to be rested and feel well in order to do the ABM?
I love all of the questions there. First of all, can you believe I didn't mention this is the first thing, but it's a great question. If you can, I mean, if you're at a point of fatigue where the only thing you can imagine is the beeline to bed, then it's not time to do the lesson. Sleep first and then do the lesson. But otherwise, my experience, I look to do more of my work myself, to do the movement lessons. And very often, if the day was very full and I did a lot of stuff, bringing myself to, most lessons are done lying down, some sitting, of course, and so on, but to bring myself to lie down and focus on the movements. It's just doing the transition, because I have already to allow myself to feel, to be home. It's a beginning step of being home. But I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm still like Neil. I do one lesson, I sleep better for 2-3 nights. My thinking gets clearer, and it's like the lens of how I experience the world gets pinker, gets rosier, it's like rearranges everything, so the perspective of reality actually changes. And the first time I experienced that, I would guess around 7 years old, when my dance teacher taught family crisis movement lessons. And I, like a lot of children, I had my stuff and my things during my childhood, and I would all of a sudden feel well and just like home and peaceful. It's very, very regenerating, because it gets the brain to find its own home, metaphorically speaking. I don't need to go into theoretical explanation here. So the answer is a resounding yes. And there's another element here. If the more consistently you do the lessons, the more outcome you'll get. It's almost like after you do one, you do the second one, there's a carryover from the first one, and your brain doesn't just get to where you were in the first lesson faster. And of course, the lessons change, right? It's very important to keep moving from one to the other, because the novelty is important, and the change is very important in the process. But the brain itself gets to the level where it was at the end of the first lesson much quicker during the second lesson. That means that you end the second lesson and your brain is organized and functioning even at a better place. And you actually train your brain to operate at a higher level ongoingly. And that's extremely powerful. One of the things is when there's like an acute situation, very often people when they're very stressed and anxious, the thinking goes out the window, and people just get like, running, like that. And one of the things that happen, and I think Neil can attest to that, when it's a real acute situation, I don't know, my brain just knows to go to its highest level rather than lowest level. I know I can get panic after the fact, but yeah.
It was very interesting. I had this sort of like meta awareness of like, I could feel myself being tugged in certain directions, and then like going, no, I know something about this. I can do something with this, and I did, and it worked, and that just fueled it more. So it's as you say, that doing the lessons becomes a skill that you get better at. And I find now that just getting down on the floor and doing the first movement, I'm there. I come home to that place. I'm there, immediately, and then the lesson just can take me even further. So.
Yeah, and further in terms of outcomes, further in terms of how you feel, and further in the quality of the functioning of your brain. So what the Dr. Merzenich, the famous neuroscientist, said about our work is that this work helps create better, stronger brains, and obviously that leads to, and by the way, the physiological processes improve, digestion improves. I mean, the kids that come to us, the parents, they know that the kids get calmer, they get stronger, they get less reactive, they are less fearful. And we don't do work on fear. We work on improving the functioning of the brain and the system, and with it, those benefits come. So thank you so much for asking this question.
So we have some comments related to this, some from practitioners actually. Mo Brilio. Hi Mo. I find when I feel stress building, doing a lesson takes me out of the circumstances and home to myself.
Lovely.
And just heard from Justin Pickin. Hi Justin.
Hi Justin, love having you on the call.
Yeah, thank you for this, Anat and Neil. The more I practice, the better I feel. But for my own well-being, I've found that doing the lessons at home for myself both aids me in my practice, and I see some of the same results for myself that you're talking about here. Fantastic. There's a question here from Charlene. She said, I've been trying to deal with my teenager, 15, who misses her brother. My son passed away 2 years ago at his father's house away. She is angry and so upset. I'm a single mom doing everything myself. Thank you for any help.
Oh my God. So, first of all, really, I'm so sorry to hear. Did you understand what the away means?
Well, he wasn't with the mom and the sister when he passed. He was at the father's. They're separated.
Yeah. Okay. So Charlene, was the brother ill and then as a result passed away, or something else happened? Because if you can just answer, and I'll wait a moment till you let us know just a little bit more. And then I will definitely give you whatever I can think of providing for you.
A return comment from Jessica. She said, I actually went back to work full time when my son was younger and diagnosed, as it gave me the headspace to be my old self for periods and have a nanny at home. Now we're in a different phase and I'm at home full time and home educating my son with needs. So much harder. Dedicated self-care, my own Feldenkrais sessions have become essential to survive, and gin and tonics.
As long as not too much of the gin and tonics.
Gail Rivas says, an object at rest.
Yeah, but I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
What was the name of Judith?
Jessica.
Jessica, that you just read.
Yes.
What I like, or what I want to point out from your share, Jessica, is that everyone needs to find their ways of reducing stress. And it's a great thing to have a big menu, like a big buffet of possibilities, because everybody's conditions are different and so on and so forth, and preferences. So going back to work can be a wonderful thing. What working in an adult environment, it calls on you to perform, and also associates you to the time before you are in this very challenging situation, which is also helps your brain to find back home, and is satisfying and gives you a break. It actually gives you a break. So that is great. And now you're full-time caretaker. So here again, I don't know the situation, but I think I'm trying to think. I have no idea of the specific specific. So what I'm saying could be completely not relevant or inappropriate for you. But if there is a portion, I don't know the condition of the child, but if there's a portion of homeschooling in the situation, and I don't know if you're doing it already or not, maybe even connecting with one other parent or two other parents, where either you take turns, or if the kids are too require too much attention, so you can't have more than one kid, even have the parents together and the children together, but one parent sort of introduces something to the three children, and then the other parent does it, and so one of the things that I like about bringing more than one child, there's so many reasons to do it, but when I for the first time quite a few years ago, when I started, took me quite a while to get to the point that I felt I could train people directly how to work with children with special needs. I did the training as a general training, first as Feldenkrais and then as Anat Baniel method NeuroMovement. And so when I moved it to Anat Baniel method NeuroMovement, I rearranged the whole thing in a way that I thought would be a whole lot more potent and powerful, and would allow for me to be free to teach as I evolved my own knowledge. Then I had the idea, and I liked my own idea of doing a practicum. That means having 5 to 7, at the time it was either 5 or 7 kids at once. So we put tables in the space, and 5 parents or up to 7 parents showed up with a child with special needs. And the trainees were the ones working with the children, and I was just going and helping them, from table and overseeing the whole thing. So that was a fantastic idea. And the morning that I woke up, that I had to go in, I panicked. I mean, not panicked, like clinically panicked, but I panicked. And I thought, why did I have to do it? I'm going to have 5 or 7 children screaming. And if one child cries, all other children cry. And what am I doing? And I was worried. And then the kids came in, and the most magnificent thing happened. They were aware of each other's presence, and no one cried. Now we are doing it, and we have up to 16, 12 in a room?
12, 13, 14 maybe.
Yes, yeah. Rarely we have a child that cries. It does happen. It's not like they never cried. But even when a child cries, the other kids kind of look at the kid, and then they look at the other kids, and it's magical. It's what that does. The kids are aware of the presence of other kids, and it normalizes what is going on, and phenomenal. So I don't know if you do it, but I'd recommend that. I'd recommend to do short periods of time. And I'd also recommend to read in the book or listen to, I talked about each essential in the podcast or both, flexible goals. We know the age of the child. We know what we want the child to be able to do. All very good. And then connecting to the child and being easy on yourself. Easy. I mean, I'm very, very intentional when I work with kids. It's not like, oh, well, let's see what happens. There's nothing fuzzy about my approach. And nothing fuzzy in my way that I coach my teachers and so on. And at the same time, a big element of how we work and how I approach the work is I'm dealing with what is right now. And I know that there's just so much that can happen per period of time. And all I look is for engagement and change, not specific outcomes. And that alone can just reduce the stress so much. Engagement, applying the essentials, observing if there's change. If it's not successful, shift what you do. Nobody knows. I never know ahead of time what I'm going to do because I can just cheat myself, but I can't know. Nobody knows ahead of time. You can just have an intention, take the first step, have a box of toolbox, have ideas, have other people helping, whatever you want, and then just see what happens and go with what happens to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. I am pretty much never ever stressed when I work with clients. Never. Doesn't matter what happens, because I'm at my best when I work. I'm not at my best when I don't work. But I try to, but I'm at my best when I work. And when I work, I do what I teach, which is I'm there with the child, I'm there with the parent, I'm interested in what's going on, and I just look for a way to engage. And then as I engage, there is whatever happens with the other person. So I'll give you a very technical, mechanical thing. Let's say I'm working with a child with spastic cerebral palsy. And I start moving the leg, and the leg gets really spastic. You get like this. I go like, okay, let's back off. I back off, and I go, and I think I know what I did. I feel like, I'm there. So I go like, maybe I moved the child too fast, or maybe the child didn't expect me to touch her, and she got alarmed, and that's why. So maybe if that's what I think happened, I said to her, oh, I touched you too abruptly. Not that I was necessarily abrupt, but I surprised you. I name it. So I have the child have some order in their experience. And then I say, let's see, maybe if I touch slower, let's see what your leg will do. And then if it does it again, I say, how about we let this leg alone and let's see if we can do something else. And I have my own techniques and stuff and so on to come about and get to that leg again later. The same thing you do with behaviors, the same, with the child reaction. You ask a child a question, they burst out crying. You say, oh, I asked you a question, you're crying. And then you try to do something with it, and see if you can, something like that. Is the woman, the mother, the single mother came back? Charlene, yes.
So she says, my son was very depressed and isolated himself. He was only 21. I also had a TBI in 2006, and it's been a rough recovery just for myself. I just want you to know you are awesome. Thank you.
Oh, Charlene. Yeah, and how many years ago did the son die?
2 years.
2 years.
And the daughter is
15 now. Yeah. Oh my God, Charlene. Woo. Neil and I try not to cry. Stop it. Help me out. Okay. Oh, this is just heartbreaking. Okay. First of all, thank you for reaching out and for asking. And your daughter, being 15 is already tough. Being, with a single mom, I was a single mom, tough. If the situation with the father, is not necessarily good, tough. It all builds up, and I know you know it, but I want to speak it so I can speak to ideas. I don't know what the father is like. I don't know, but I think that probably there's enormous amount of guilt, swirling in the space. And also there is this thing of getting the idea, right? Her brother killed himself, and it's like, should I kill myself too? Or why did he do it? And it's very, very hard. Having somebody commit suicide that you're close to is truly, truly very, very challenging. So I don't know where you live, but if you are near us, I would just say, please, please bring your daughter to us, at least for a few sessions. Because through the work, to first of all have her experience comfort and some peace. I don't know how available she is to talk to you. I don't know how safe or skilled you feel discussing it. I don't know how much you have discussed it. but if you find a really skillful and operating major way is a skillful therapist, somebody that works with teenagers, that have worked around issues of death and loss and suicide, and that is very look for a sane therapist. I mean, look for someone that is humane and doesn't create more cookiness and interpretations, but someone that really gives space for your child to go through what she's going through. And I have no idea how responsive she is and so on, doing the movement lessons. I mean, how available, it's not, I'm sure she'll be responsive, but how available she is to do the DVDs, the video lessons could be nice for her. Let us know where you live, because if you live in an area where there's a practitioner we know that has the skill set to deal with your daughter, we'll email us at either staff at anatbanielmethod.com. We should have an email podcast at anatbanielmethod.com, so that'd be so easy to tell people. Yes. Let's start doing that. Okay, so but in the meanwhile, staff at anatbanielmethod.com. For you, absolutely do the movement lessons. I'm just thinking, we worked with a lot of TBI, but in terms of just the movement lessons, one of our graduates, one of our practitioners, she was also a physical therapist, a wonderful woman, and she had a concussion. And that was maybe 10 years ago, I think, and nobody took her seriously. It was, you just had a concussion. It's nothing, it's a concussion. And she couldn't work. She remember? Oh, you don't know, you were still not. Anyway, and she actually came to the training program as support staff, so she could lie on the floor and do all the movement lessons again. It's very intense. And by doing the movement lessons intensely, she clearly lost one symptom after another. They got either weaker, the symptoms weakened, lessened. People say the symptoms got better. I can't say it, because if they got better, that means they got more of themselves, right? So they weakened, they lessened. The symptoms lessened until they disappeared. And so I think it's important you do it. If you can get also some private sessions, that will also be fantastic. So and for your daughter, oh my God, I so wish I could just put my hands on her, and work with her. I don't know where you are. I've worked with not huge numbers, but I've worked with suicidal teenagers. I've worked with, with teenagers, and they're great to work with, because they're like young children. Once it works, they're really themselves. They're really like extremely themselves. So it's really wonderful to work with them. Yeah. I hope it's helpful. I don't know what else to say right now.
Charlene says, thank you. We live in South Lake Tahoe.
Oh my God, come down.
Yes, your videos have helped me. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if you can, but can you guys just come down to, we're in Marin County. I mean, if you can just, so email scheduling, like the word to schedule, scheduling at anatbanielmethod.com, and just bring yourself and your daughter for a couple days, get, 2 lessons a day. I don't know, arrange with the lead and just give it a try. And yeah. And I was thinking about the training program, but it's where we do the practicum. Your daughter we could have slid her in, because we take, till 17 years old. But first of all, it's in Tucson, so it's going to cost you a whole lot more than just coming down to us. But we'll have to. We can't do that. That was just a thought. Erase that. Yes.
So a question from Jessica following on. She said, thank you very much for all the advice. She said, are the exercises in any of your books to guide us if we're not ABM trained? So I guess, the question is, how would you recommend diving in and doing the lessons if you're not a practitioner?
Not a problem. Do them gently, do them slowly. Don't do too many repetitions. It's not exercise in the usual sense. It's generating movement as a way to communicate with yourself, as a way to communicate with your brain, as a way to what Neil told me that he didn't tell you earlier this morning is when he did those lessons, he did one lesson where he could then feel again where the pain was, but it wasn't full blown. And he went like, oh, maybe I did too much. Maybe I did too hard. He was concerned he hurt himself. And a few hours later, he felt fantastic. That means the brain, that's why it's so good to do the lessons before you go to sleep. Because when you do it before you go to sleep, the brain has time to go around and mush around and figure itself out and build those new neural networks, the patterns, and utilize the experience to enhance you. So the lessons are not directly fixing you, but they're giving the opportunity for change to occur and positive change to occur. So you can do them. And if you don't have the videos or DVDs, that's okay. But you want to just do the ones the short ones in the
Move into Life.
In Move into Life
has 10 short
10 short lessons. You can also try them by reading, but then you can have someone else and record them. Just record them on your phone, and you say, lie on your back and just think you're giving space, you're giving time, and then listen to your own recording. You don't have to use the book itself anymore. End of each podcast, like a 5-minute.
Fabulous.
Yes. So we only have we only have 3 podcasts left for this year, in addition to today, because of the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So this year we're not, but next year we're going to do a launch of how we do the
Are we that close to the end of the year? Oh my
goodness. I know it's going to start soon. Yes.
So Charlene said, okay, and thank you, and a heart. Ala, who asked the question earlier, thank you for talking about the siblings needing care too. Sorry, the siblings needing care too. It's so hard for them too.
Yeah, and I want to say something about that, Ala. I think that anytime there's a child with special needs, there needs to be a plan, an intentional intervention with the other siblings. Because even when they're already 15 or 12 and they understand that the sibling has a problem, the biggest currency of life is attention. In humans, I can say for sure, but dogs, attention, love is life, is survival, is being fed, is being safe. So attention is a big currency. And when children are very young, they're totally self-centered. That's how they're organized. They don't have the ability to say, oh, daddy is really tired, so it's okay. It's not about me. Not possible. And very many adults never really get out of that phase, that evolution. And it's not like putting people down. It takes real development, and it's not automatic. So when the child, when a child has a sibling that has special needs, they by default will be getting a lot more attention. And it's not good enough to explain to the child why. You say, oh yeah, but they're not, they can't walk and you can walk, and that's why we have to give them help and blah, blah, blah. You can say that, but I wouldn't go down that road much. I would go like, I'd acknowledge it. I'd say your brother is having difficulty walking and we are running around trying to help him. And we're going to also pay attention to you. You don't have to have a problem with your legs for us to pay attention to you. That's what I would say to the children. And I'll find ways to pay attention to them. I'll find out what they're interested in, ask them if they're too young, you generate it. But I will name the situation. Nothing is wrong. It's like, this is going on and we're going to do it. And we're going to also. So there is the afternoon you're with him, or the grandmother takes I don't know, figure it out. But it's not that complicated once you know. And by the way, apropos stress, we'll reduce the stress for everyone because everybody's needs will be met better. So thank you for naming it.
So we have a comment from one of our new trainees, Carolyn Cogan. Hi, Carolyn. It's so nice to see and hear you. When I returned home after segment 1 of the practitioner training, I had trouble settling into my normal life. After a few days of feeling off balance, I decided to start doing a movement lesson every morning or evening, or both, from our training notes. I quickly recovered my enthusiasm and ability to handle the demands of my family life. I'm so excited to start segment 2, which started yesterday online, that I've already completed 7 videos plus 2 bonus videos. Thank you for your beautiful work.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. And it's really amazing. And thank you for taking charge that way and initiative on your own part. And yes, it is hard to get back into life, because you start living in the world we would have wanted everyone to live in. And it's not a world of just, it's a world of where people are aware, where people are developing the ability for self-connection and connection to other. And it's an ability of a more mature society. So you are going to be one of the drivers of that. So that's awesome. We have time?
We have time. Yeah. So Alla again, who...
Is there anybody else that we ignored?
No, I'm being very democratic.
Okay, so Alla again. So, yes, hi Alla, thank you for participating.
She says, one more question about the tired person taking care of oneself while doing the ABM lesson. I have scoliosis, and often lying on the mat on the floor is painful for me, and then I can't focus on the movement, so I just don't do it. Sitting is sometimes painful too. Any reason not to do the lessons lying on a soft bed instead?
Well, I was just going to say, then start by lying on a bed. If the bed is very soft, many beds now have a pretty sturdy portion of the mattress, and then on top of it, there is like a padding so that you sink into the bedding, but you still have a sturdy ground. If you have the kind of soft that does this when you move, it'll be a bit more challenging. Otherwise, and anyway, do it on the mattress, on the bed. Take away pillows, take away disruptive stuff. But if you need to support under your head, make yourself comfortable. That is, by the way, pain is an expression of stress and a generator of stress. Pain signifies something is off, so that's already stress. And experiencing the pain is also stressful, so it's a double stress. So it's very, very important, if we want to induce change, is to not feel pain. So thank you so very much for asking. and just do it easy, do it light. And then if you want eventually, and when you sit, you do lessons in sitting, because we have, what is it?
Healthy dynamic sitting? Or desk trainer?
No. There's one for scoliosis. It's healthy
backs and scoliosis.
And pain relief.
Yeah.
So sit and do shorter times of sitting before the pain. And put the chair near your bed, and then lie on the bed. And enjoy the comfort, and then sit and just do, even if it's the first instruction, do 2 movements and lie and rest. Don't wait to feel the pain. Do 1 movement and lie and rest. And you can lie, and then you can lie, and you can imagine yourself sitting and doing the movement, then go do the movement another 1 or 2 times. So in a half-hour lesson will end up being, let's say, an hour lesson, but you don't have to do it an hour. You do it half an hour, You know where you got to, and then continue the same process, and you will develop the organization, or learn how to be in lying, sitting in a chair without getting pain so quickly, or getting the pain. Then in terms of flying on the floor, you can put, movers mats. I like movers mats, cotton ones, and you fold them in half, and you do 2 or 3 of them. They cost, I don't know, $10 or $14. But I personally really prefer the cotton ones, both in terms of lying on cotton and not on synthetic, but also because the synthetic tend to be slippery. So and you can do, 3 of those. This is 6 mats. It's almost like a futon. So as you get better at this, maybe in a few, a week or 2 or 3, you can do a little bit on the floor and see if that's doable, and then do on the bed, and on the floor and on the bed. But start on the bed. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. That's, we got bless you both and thank you from Gail Rivers.
Okay.
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah.
And
so okay.
And another thing, yeah, Kimberly Thielen or Thielen Schneider. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
And that's our
that
comments.
we covered. That's wonderful. And let us know, maybe in the next, we don't know who is, if the same people come, let us know if any of that helped, any of those suggestions helped. And of course, there's everything else. Exercise.
And please send us messages on Facebook.
We'd love to know. And then I wanted to mention it and I forgot. And I don't know if I will be able to arrange for a live one, but with Richard Miller, who does the rest yoga. Richard from the NeuroMovement.
Oh, okay.
He's going to do a podcast for me, and then so I love the work of Byron Katie. I really love the work of Byron Katie. So just Google Byron Katie. She has the 4 questions. She has a lot of materials on her website. I think, and there's also, I think, a link. People can see her. She came to the center a few years ago, and there's a bit of 2 hours with her. She's an amazing way to develop a way to embrace what's happening, stay effective in it, and drop at least some of the suffering, if not all of it. And of course, mindful meditation. I love the work of, I should put it on Facebook because he's selling it now for $13 or $14. Is the guy that I love, my favorite Vipassana teacher.
Jack Cornfield?
Yeah, Jack Cornfield. I got an email, and he teaches about. He's an amazing meditation teacher, Jack Cornfield. So we can post it on the website. So this is the other side, other things you can do that are wonderful. Work really well with our approach. There's zero. Neurologically and every other way. So thank you very, very much. We'll put all what I mentioned, the recommendations, on Facebook. A link to Byron Katie's website, to Jack Cornfield's offer to get 8, all his teachings.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I'm on it.
Yeah, good. I'm going to do it too.
So just a couple of closing comments. Many thanks for your podcast. They're always so inspiring and full of good advice. That's from Alla again. Amy Salento. Hi, Amy.
Hi,
Thank
Amy.
you, Anat and Neil. And Raquela Palombo. Hi, Raquela. These live chats are amazing. Thank you both. Well, Thank you all for being with us. It's a huge gift for us to feel your presence on the other side of the camera and to get such amazing feedback. I know that some people ask, is it possible to view these after the event? And it absolutely is. First of all, on our Facebook page or our website.
Which is anatbanielmethod.com. And there's the links to all of them. Yeah. How many have we done now?
This is number 25.
Okay, we're coming.
And we should have a list. I know, because I listened to a podcast the other day and it gave the list of you can go on iTunes and this and that, or wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. Because these are available on audio too.
Yeah, available everywhere. Everywhere.
So Thank you very much and have a great week.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Anat. Always.
Thank you for joining us on NeuroMovement Revolution with Anat Baniel. You will find all of our podcasts and additional resources on our website at www.anatbanielmethod.com. You can also subscribe to this podcast for free on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn. We look forward to seeing you online for our next NeuroMovement Revolution.